In this video we are going to talk about negative powers. In the previous subjects we study powers, okay? In this video, let's say in today's lesson, if our power is negative, how can we solve the question? For example, let's do a quick review about the previous lesson. For example, we studied 3 the power of 2, for example. So our base is 3, means 3 is repeated twice. So 3 times 3, it's going to be 9. And also we study like question, this question 1, negative 2 the power of 4. So negative 2 the power of 4, our base is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So multiply the numbers. 2 times 2 4, 4 times 2 8, 8 times 2 16. How about the sign negative 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 negative? We study if our base is negative, look at the powers in here, okay? Our base is negative in here, negative 2. So that's why look at the power. Is it even number or odd number? 4 it's even, here is even, so that's why it has to be positive, okay? I'll write it positive. Question 2, negative 4. So negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. Multiplied 4 times 4 16, 16 times 4 64. Okay? Now look at our bases in here. The base numbers is negative, so we need to look at the powers. Is it even or odd number? So 3 is odd number, so the answer it has to be negative. Today, as I said, if we have the negative powers, look at here this example, 2 the power of negative 1. In here our power is negative 1. If our power is negative 1, how can we solve, how can we evaluate the powers? For example, in here, look, we have some steps. I will explain step by step. For example, I have 2 the power of negative 1 equals to, it's going to be 1 out of 2. How 2 the power of negative 1 it becomes 1 out of 2? So we have some steps. I will write it first. 2 the power of negative 1. Okay? Okay. We know any number we can change to the fraction by putting 1 in the denominator. Okay? This is the first step. The second one, we need to take the reciprocal of this fraction. For example, 2 over 1, I will change to 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2. And this negative powers, our aim is changed to positive. So when we switch the fraction directly, this negative power it changed to positive, okay? So 1 out of 2 the power of 1. Okay, let's solve more question. These are the steps. How can we, let's say, evaluate the negative powers? For example, evaluate the power of 10. 10 to the power of negative 2. The first step, put 1, make it as a fraction. The second step, take the reciprocally of the numbers. So 10 out of 1, when we take the reciprocal, it's going to be 1 out of 10. Okay? The second step, change the negative powers to positive. So negative 2 directly we need to change to positive. Now we know how to evaluate this one. So 1 out of 10 to the power of 2 means 1 out of 10 times 1 out of 10. So 1 times 1, 1, 10 times 10, 100. This is the first one. The second example, 10 to the power of negative 6. The first step, putting 1, make it as a fraction. Okay? If it is fraction, no need to put 1 in the denominator. Okay? So now take the reciprocally of this one, 1 out of 10, and this negative powers it becomes to positive. We study in here positive, so write 6. So it becomes 1 out of 10 times 1 out of 10 times 1 out of 10 times 1 out of 10. So write 6 times 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. Okay, So multiply them. So 1 times 1 times 1, it's going to be 1, and write 6, 0. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And question 6. So evaluate the negative powers. Put 1 in the denominator as I said. So the second step, take the reciprocally, write 1 out of -3. Rewrite the numbers, okay? We just care about the negative powers in here. Don't say this number is negative, I will change to positive. It's not correct. We are just caring about the negative powers, okay? If it is negative powers, we need to change to positive powers. So 1 out of 3, then this -4, it becomes +4. Now evaluated 1 out of -3 times 1 out of -3 times 1 out of -3. This is 1 out of -3. Okay, multiply them. So 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, it's going to be 1. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, it's going to be 81. How about the sign? In the previous lesson we studied our base in here, it's negative. So we need to look at this power, it's even, okay? So it's going to be negative times negative, positive, positive times negative, negative, negative times negative, positive. Or we can say this power is, the exponent number is even, so it's going to be positive. The second example, put 1 in the denominator, 1 out of -2, change this exponent to positive, -5, it becomes 5. So write 1 out of -2 times 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 1 out of -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So write 1 times 1 times 1, it's 1. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, it's going to be 32. How about the sign? Our base in here is -2, so we need to look at this power. We studied this one. If we have like this, -2 to the power of 5. Okay, our base it's what? -2. We need to look at the exponent. Is it even or odd? 5 is odd number, so it's going to be negative. So these two questions is the same. Using order of operation. In here we can use the PEMDAS rule. PEMDAS, PEMDAS. Why are we going to use the PEMDAS? Because there are more than one operation. Addition, brackets, exponents, let's say subtraction. So that's why we need to use PEMDAS. Let's use the PEMDAS rule in here. Okay, I will use the PEMDAS. First one, it's P. P means we need to focus on the brackets. There are two brackets. We need to focus on the brackets to solve it. So I will rewrite the numbers. 2 plus. So in here we have -7 to the power of 0 in here. We study -7 to the power of 0. Whenever our exponent is 0, there is only one answer, which is 1. So I'll write, instead of this one, I'll write it 1. Minus. So what is the answer of this one? 4 plus 2. We know 4 plus 2, it's going to be 3. It's going to be 6. So I will say 6 to -2. 6 to the power of -2. Today's lesson is about negative powers. So in here, our powers is negative. Okay? Our powers is -2. It's -2. We need to change to positive. How? By putting 1, then take the reciprocally, 1 out of 6, change the negative powers to positive. So it's going to be 1 out of 6 times 1 out of 6, 1 out of 36. I'll write it 1 out of 36. 1 out of 36. Now, in this, there is no exponent. Multiplication and division, there is no skip it. Addition and subtraction in here. So there is addition in order from left to the right. 2 plus 1, it's going to be 3, minus 1 out of 36. We can solve this one. So 3 minus 1 out of 36, make it fraction 3. So how can we make it as fraction? 3 minus 1 out of 36. Put 1 in the denominator. So 36 and 1, they are not the same. Make the same denominator because it's subtraction times 36 times 36. Okay. So this one is going to be 108. 3 times 36. 108 over 36. Sorry, 36. Minus 1 out of 36. Minus them is going to be 107 out of 36. Okay, this is the answer of the first question. And the second one, PEMDAS again. P brackets. There's a bracket in here. We need to focus on the brackets. 4 minus. Let's solve it in here. 4 minus 9 to the power of 0. Okay? Just focus on the brackets on here. 4 minus 9 to the power of 0. 9 to the power of 0, it's going to be 1. So 4 minus 1 is going to be 3. So the whole bracket is going to be 3 in here. How about the other numbers? 4 plus 3. In here there is a bracket, so it means multiplication between here's. Okay? Now, plus 5 to negative 5 to the power of negative 2. We have exponents, exponents, okay? 4 plus 3 times 3 plus, okay. 5 to the power of negative 2, here, we need to solve this one. 5 to the negative 2, 5 to the power of negative 2. Our power is negative, we need to change to positive by putting 1 and take the reciprocal of it. So it's going to be 1 out of 5 to the power of 2 means 1 out of 25. So I'll write it 1 out of 25. Multiplication and division. Is there any multiplication and division from left to the right? Yes, there is multiplication. 3 times 3. So I write it 4 plus 3 times 3, it's going to be 9 plus 1 out of 25. Okay? After multiplication and division, there is addition and subtraction from left to the right. Yes, there is addition. 4 plus 9 is 13 plus 1 out of 25. We can put 1 and make the same denominator. That's it. You will get the answer. Let's see, for example, question 12. Again, this one we need to, whenever the question say evaluate, we need to solve. If it is more than one operation, we need to use PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. Okay, let's solve question 2. In here, we have a powers. Okay, we need to focus on the brackets first. So that's why to the power of negative 3, here is negative our power. We need to change to positive by putting 1. So it's going to be 1 out of 2 the power of 3. 2 the power of 3 means 2 times 1 out of 2 times 1 out of 2. It's going to be 2 times 2, 4. It's going to be 1 out of 8. So this one it's 1 out of 8. Okay, so 2 minus 1 out of 8, put 1 in the denominator, times 8, make the same denominator. So 2 times 8, 16. 8 minus 1 out of 8. Subtract them because the same denominator. 16 out of, 15 out of 8. This is the answer. This one you can do it by yourself. The negative powers, how can we change to positive, we study. And that's it.